This is NDTV, and you're watching Classics.
Hello and welcome to Born Wild, the show that takes you to the heart of wild India. On today's show, we're going to reintroduce you to one of India's most beloved and most majestic animals, the elephant. Worshipped and revered across the country, today, more and more people see them as a menace and as a danger. So we're going to take a look at why this has happened, why in the last few years the man-elephant conflict has come to such a head. So we go across the country and we ask these questions. Are India's wild elephants getting more aggressive? Or is it that there's too much interference, human population, villages, in what was once their wild lands? Or is it that there are too many elephants for the too few protected areas that we have left in the country? So come with us while we look for these answers. He was found here in one of the fields near the forest, abandoned by his herd. Now, normally elephants don't abandon their babies so easily, but that particular herd must have been on a raid. And when they got scared away by the people, then they must have left him behind. The thing with baby elephants is that they need a lot of care when they first come in. They miss their mothers very much, but he was lucky because one of the adult elephants here, the domestic ones who's trained to take tourists in and out of the forest, has adopted him. So he stays here and thinks that she's his mother. The other thing with elephants is that when they're at this age, they look really sweet and they look really soft and they are quite friendly and affectionate, especially, of course, if you have food in your hand to feed them. But never underestimate an elephant, not the wild ones definitely, and not even the domestic ones. The thing with elephants is that the ones in the wild, they are very, very aggressive animals. You can't get into their paths, you cannot interfere with the herd, and you certainly cannot interfere with the baby when the adults of the herd are around. And the other thing with elephants is that they need large, huge areas in which to graze, in which to move around, in which to live as a herd. And they have like these corridors that they walk on, paths that they've taken all their lives. And when those paths are disturbed, when their habitat is disturbed, when their habitat gets fragmented like it is here in India, that's when the conflict arises. That's when so much conflict happens with people. A lot of people have been killed in the last couple of years by elephants. Fields have been raided. Villages have been destroyed. Elephants too have died in this conflict. And as in any story, there are two sides to every story. And we're really going to look at, is he a culprit or a victim? Legend made them gods. They've always been used both in labor and in worship. But today, with growing human habitation and shrinking forests leading to a huge man-elephant conflict, elephants are being regarded more as a menace and less as creatures meant for worship. Through history, though, they've been prided for their great size and strength. Armies were built around them. They've been the sign of plenty and splendor. But that has not prevented large-scale poaching of the animals for their great ivory tusks. At least 100 elephants are lost every year to poaching in India, although in the last decade there's been considerable work in protecting the animals. At the turn of the 20th century, there were close to 10 million of them. But hunting and habitat loss has brought that number down to less than 1 million today. They're on Schedule 1 of the Wildlife Act, and capturing or killing of a wild elephant is an offence punishable by law. Over the past 40 million years, more than 600 species of elephants roam this planet. Today, there are only 2 species left, the Asian elephant and the African elephant. African elephants are larger in size than their Asian counterparts, and even the female African elephant has tusks. While huge efforts are in place to protect the species, most experts fear that with the rapid pace of habitat loss, there might not be a future in this fight to save them.
Now the habitat is surrounded by people. People are living inside. There are livestock. Thousands of people go into the forest for cutting wood. So there is habitat degradation. So habitat loss and habitat degradation, all these make, the elephant habitats unsuitable for them, which force elephants to come and raid crops. See, when you grow crops like banana or sugarcane or coconut near the forest, which is degraded, where there is a lot of pressures, elephants, within 2 hours, they'll be able to eat enough in the crop fields. But inside the forest, they may have to feed for 15, 16 hours. And there again, they will not get nutritive food, tasty food. But in a crop field, they'll be able to get nutritive food, tasty food within 2 hours. So as a result, that makes them to come and raid the crops.
Elephants require vast amounts of food and water to survive. A fully grown adult requires close to 200 litres of water and about 200 kgs of food a day. Being social animals, they live and move in groups. As even a small group of elephants can quickly deplete the food and water resources of a single area in days, they're programmed by nature to wander. In this way, they keep moving, allowing areas to recover from their feeding. A herd migrates seasonally in an extended loop within its home range. This loop can extend to over 1,500 square kilometers. In its search for food and water, a herd can cover 500 to 1,000 square kilometers in 1 year. The routes that they take are called elephant corridors. These are traditional routes. A particular herd always takes a particular route. And as herds are usually matriarchal in nature, it's the oldest female in the group who leads the herd.
Because of the size of the animal and its requirement of food and water, nature has built it in a way that it needs to travel large distances over a period of time so that it can meet its requirements of habitat. And there's a wonderful thing in that it also allows the habitat to recoup over a period of time so that it's not being used continuously. Otherwise, elephants might as well end up degrading their own habitat. That's one. The other interesting thing is that the leader of the herd is usually the eldest female. It's a matrilineal society. And the strength of that female is in her memory about the available routes that they use for migration, the preferred spaces for fodder, for water that they can use over a given period of time.
It's this need to range, to feed, that is creating maximum conflict now. Although there's been no formal or definitive census, elephant populations in India place between 20,000 and 28,000. And given India's forest cover, there seems too little space for this number. Less than 25% of India's forest is protected elephant area. While some of the rest is distributed over reserve forests and some community forests, the majority of the area is revenue land, its villages, its fields, its fallows, its even growing cities. These were all paths that the animals once roamed freely and called their home. These were their corridors etched into their memories.
While their journey is constantly broken and with their feeding constantly disrupted, the animals turn to agricultural fields where they can meet their food requirements in a short period of time. At one time, such crop raids were rare. But now they've become routine in many areas of India, like in West Bengal, Bihar, Orissa, Kerala and Tamil Nadu, practically every state where elephants are found. Even in the northeast, where the animals had large areas to roam, with tea cultivation, logging and slash and burn cultivation, there's been huge disturbances. Worse, many people lose their lives in the clash. Elephants have also been hunted down and shot for creating the damage, making management of elephant-dominated areas and their conservation crucial. Between 1999 and 2000, over 250 people were killed. Between 2000 2001, about 200. 2001 2002, 300 people. And 2002 to 2003, almost 200 people.
You know, they are basically shy animals. So they also are not willing to come and kill people. You know, I mean, in tribals in South India used to say, if an elephant kills a human being, then after that it will be tormented for several days. It's like somebody committing a murder. He won't be at peace. For a, habitual murderer, you know, it may not affect him. But somebody who has done the murder for the first time, he'll be tormented. So like that, elephants also, if they make that, if they kill somebody, you know, they'll be troubled. So they don't like to kill somebody.